The epic saga began back in 1991 when Claire Randall, played by Katrina Balfe, stepped back in time through the stones of Craignadown in Scotland in Diana Gabaldon's first Outlander novel. Now settled in North Carolina in the 18th century with her husband Jamie Fraser, Sam Heughan, the hit TV adaptation from Starz has left viewers rather baffled regarding another mysterious time traveler. Fans are still wondering how Geillis Duncan, Lauderverbeke, was able to travel back further than 200 years to change the course of Scottish history. Claire first meets Geillis in the first season and eventually discovers she also travelled through Craignadown from the 20th century. She became obsessed with the Jacobite rebellion, and killed her husband at the Stones, believing she needed a human sacrifice to travel through time. However, one observant viewer was stumped when they realized Geillis started her journey 2 decades after Claire but had apparently been living in the past for some years by the time they met. Redditor u/surprisingly unhappy asked, how can Geillis have traveled later than Claire but arrived earlier than her? Several aspects of Gabaldon's historical fantasy have left fans scratching their heads over the years, as it's still unclear how exactly time travel functions in the Outlander universe. 3 seasons after Geillis' final appearance in the series, and it still hasn't been explained how her husband's sacrifice meant she was able to travel further than 200 years into the past. I'm confused about the timeline and the linear nature of the time travel, the post continued. If Claire first went through in 1945 and arrived in 1743, and 3 years went and she arrived back in 1948, how can Geillis have travelled back in 1968 and have already been in the past in 1743? The same fan went on to point out Claire's daughter Brianna, Sophie Skelton, and her husband Roger, Richard Rankin, were tied to the same restrictions when they followed her to the 18th century. When other people like Roger and Brianna go back, they're on the same linear timeline as Claire, they said. But Geillis went back 20+ years further than Claire? Some viewers are clearly frustrated with the series' ambiguous rules regarding who can travel in time and how far they can go. Don't miss. NCISLA showrunner teases heady return in series finale. Latest, Sam Claflin couldn't stop crying filming Daisy Jones and the Six. Exclusive, House of the Dragon star exposes deleted wedding scene. Interview. To make matters more complicated, the series begins with the ghostly figure of Claire's husband Jamie watching her in the 1940s, despite the fact he doesn't share her ability to travel through time. Offering some explanation, u/some midnight 411 replied, yeah, the time travel thing the characters sorta figure out along the way. We don't exactly know how it works, but there are theories. Like steering, that if you think of a certain person or event you can get there. One of the books does say you need a human sacrifice to go back farther than 200 years. Since Geillis does have the sacrifice, she is able to go back farther. For those who are desperate for more answers, Gabaldon's novels apparently go into slightly more detail about the fundamentals of time travel. The author even states Geillis was right about her husband's sacrifice on some level, as it seemed to grant her more control over where she arrived in the past. Still, there are many more mysteries about Craignadown and Claire's fellow time travelers which will hopefully be resolved in Outlander's final 2 seasons, as well as Gabaldon's 10th and final book. Outlander Season 7 premieres summer 2023 on Starz in the USA and Lionsgate Plus via Prime Video.